program is made possible by a grant from Pan American Life Insurance Company. It's Varsity Quiz Bowl. And today, Ravi Sharma, Carrie Lewis, Charles Barnes, and James Richards from East Jefferson High School will meet in a battle of quick recall. Jerome McDougall, Russell McLaren, Kevin Carranzo, and Sheila Langenhennig from Mandeville High School. The alternate from East Jefferson is Rosary Fazan, and sitting in for Coach Julie LeBourgeois is Assistant Principal Sadie Dillon. And the alternate from Mandeville is Russell Payne. And the coach, Ann Phillips. And now, here's our moderator, Nell Levitt.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome once again to Varsity Quiz Bowl. We're well into our second round of play now, and two first-time winners, Mandeville and East Jefferson, have returned. Right now, I'd like to introduce our judge first, Dr. Ann Akers. Our scorer, Phyllis Hartley, Associate Director of Records at the University of New Orleans. And our recognizer for today's match, Mike Cooney of the WIS production staff. Let's give them a round of applause, too, please. All right, the winner of today's match moves directly into the round of 16 as we rapidly approach that final championship 1 hour. Teams, if you're ready, here's a face-off. We're going for an audio lanyap of 30 points. The question is this. He was 85 years old on Inauguration Day and is the oldest movie TV star in Hollywood. He says he smoked.
East Jefferson Richards.
George Burns.
That's the man. George Burns. East Jefferson's on the board. All right, East Jeff, you picked up 10 points. Here's a chance to add 30 more in 3 parts. This is a musical lanyap, by the way. So what I want you to do is listen to this music, and then I will ask 3 questions. Let's listen. All right, you've heard that top of the charts hit. But interesting in musical history. So the questions are this. It was a waltz, of course, that you heard. It's composed by a man known as the Waltz King. For 10 points, name him. This is the original Waltz King.
Tchaikovsky.
No, it was Johann Strauss. Now, since he came from a musical family, all of whom composed, for 10 points, can you tell me, was he the senior or the junior Johann Strauss? Strauss Senior, Strauss Junior. Which one? Take a pick, 50-50.
Junior.
You're right. All right, and finally, for final 10 points, tell me the name of the composition that you have just heard. The name of which is on everybody's lips all throughout the New Orleans area. And I don't mean to make fun of it, but waltzes are not too popular anymore. Vienna Blood was actually the composition. You salvaged 10 points, though, East Jefferson. You now have 20. Here's another face-off. We're going for a lanyap of 30 points. You might associate the names of Cannon, Reed, and Rayburn with the legislative branch of the government. For 10 points, with what branch of the government would you associate McNaughton, Miranda, and Escobedo?
East Jefferson Richards.
Judicial.
That's absolutely correct, of the judiciary. Each one of those people was the subject of a famous judicial decision. And I believe in each case by the Supreme Court. We have a lanyap of 30 points. For 10 each, tell me with what famous archaeologist and paleontologist would you associate the following locations? First, Troy.
Schliemann.
That's correct. Henrik Schliemann. Crete. What famous archaeologist was Sir Arthur Evans? And finally, the Olduvai or Olduvai Gorge. What very famous archaeologist?
Meade.
No, this was Louis S.B. Leakey. Leakey, or Mary or Richard of the Leakey family. You picked up 10 points. East Jeff. Here's another face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 20 points, teams. Human beings breathe through their noses. Plants also breathe, but through small openings in their leaves. For 10 points.
Stomata.
East Jefferson Sharma.
Well, you're right on top of it. Stomata is correct. The openings are called stomata. Here's a lanyap at 20 points. These two billionaires' audacious commodity raid was one of the great gambles of last year. It flopped, sending the price of the commodity tumbling from nearly $50 an ounce at the beginning of last year to $10.80 in late March. and the reverberations shook Wall Street. And how it shook Wall Street. For 10 points, name the commodity. For another 10, tell me the last name of the two billionaires.
Okay, Silver
Correct?
and Hunt.
That's right, the Hunt brothers. Nelson, Bunker, Hunt, and Herbert. You've got 20 points. We have another face-off going for a lagniappe at 20. This word means to trade by exchanging goods or services without using...
East Jefferson Richards.
Barter.
Barter's correct, without using money. One of the earliest forms of commerce. A lagniappe at 20 points coming up, East Jefferson. The Victorian Age is the name given to the years between 1837 and 1901, during which Queen Victoria reigned over the British Empire. For 5 points each, name the author of each of these Victorian works. First, Pippa Passes. Who was the author? It's a work by Robert Browning. Secondly, Dover Beach. Dover Beach was written by Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold. Third, Idols of the King. Idols of the King, written by Alfred Lord Tennyson. And finally, Sonnets from the Portuguese.
Elizabeth Barrett Browning.
That is correct, and you picked up 5 more points. East Jefferson High School. This face-off is leading toward a lagniappe at 20 points. For 10 points in a famous poem, what did Walt Whitman say was the handkerchief of the Lord and the beautiful uncut hair of gray?
Mandeville, Langenhenning.
Grass.
That's right, from Leaves of Grass. 10 points, Mandeville. All right, Mandeville, you're on the board. You have a chance, in addition to that 10, to pick up 20 more. 4 parts to this one. You shouldn't have to go all around Robin Hood's barn, as they say, to tell me the word that has round in it and fits each of the following definitions or descriptions. First, a circular building for repairing and housing locomotives.
Roundhouse.
That's right. Run into the roundhouse, mother, the cops can't corner you there. From folklore somewhere, I think. To collect cattle for branding or for enumerating.
Roundup.
Roundup is correct again. A journey to a destination and back is called.
Round trip.
Correct. And finally, a nematode. N-E-M-A-T-O-D-E. A nematode.
A roundworm.
That's exactly right. You've got 20 points. Mandeville High. With the question, you bounce right back into the thick of it. Here's another face-off team going for a lagniappe at 20. The chemical formula for water is H2O, of course. For a quick 10, give me the chemical formula for hydrogen peroxide.
East Jefferson Sharma.
H2O2.
Correct, for 10 points. All right, here's a lagniappe in 2 parts. Scientists theorize that earthquakes are caused because of 2 gigantic parts or pieces of the Earth's crust crunching together. For 10 points, what are these pieces of the crust called?
Plates.
Plates, will you accept? Could you be more specific?
Dinner plates?
Yeah, the judge says dinner plate.
Continental. Plates.
Continental plates.
No.
We want the precise definition, which is tectonic plates. This is outlined scientifically. Now, the second part is this. The plates have moved almost since the creation of Earth. For an additional 10, what dynamic process is said to cause this movement? Specific scientific term now.
Currents of the magma.
Currents of the magma.
What kind of current?
Yeah, we'll have to be a little more specific. We don't want to slow down the game. We're talking about convection or discharge of heat from the Earth's core. Heat, currents, convection, whatever. But we can't allow it. But we have another face-off. We're going for a land. Not quite now. All right. The buzzer, of course, means that we're going to move into a rapid fire. East Jefferson has a lead of 95 to 30, but things can change rather drastically inside of a rapid fire of 2 minutes, as you know. We ask a question in this round, and it must be followed by an answer. And then we ask another question, and so on. The idea being that there's no referral, as you know, in rapid fire, as we do have in face-offs. So it's a very rapid process. It's a 2-minute countdown, and we always have a theme. Now, this rapid fire round concerns people, places, and things based on general knowledge. All of the answers will begin with the letter S, as in sensational. Okay, here we go. Number 1, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
East Jefferson Richards.
Sanders.
That's right, Colonel Sanders. The derisive term for a white Southern Republican used by the Democrats during Reconstruction.
Mandeville, Langenhenning.
Scalawag.
That's correct. Mickey Mouse was his apprentice in Walt Disney's Fantasia.
Mandeville, McLaren.
Sorcerers.
Correct. The Hungarian physician whose research on childbed fever pointed the
East
way.
Jefferson Richards.
Spock.
No, this was Semmelweis. A limestone deposit hanging down from the roof of a cave.
East Jefferson Sharma.
No, it's stalactite. Stalactite. Difficult to pronounce. The shortstop on Charlie Brown's baseball team is...
Mandeville, Caruntos.
Snoopy.
That's right. The Alabama town that was a starting point for the memorable march...
East Jefferson Richards.
Selma.
No, what was it?
Selma.
Selma, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing too well. You're absolutely right. The Russian-born American industrialist who was the first to receive the SOS signals from the sinking Titanic. Name was Sornoff, later founded RCA. The triangular bone formed of 5 fused vertebrae and situated at the lower end of the...
Mandeville, Langenhenning.
That's correct. Seaport and capital of South Vietnam.
East Jefferson Richards.
Saigon.
Correct. The 8th sign of the zodiac.
East Jefferson Richards.
Sagittarius.
No, this is Scorpio or Scorpius. Large marine Salacian fish. There's a shark. A fore and aft rigged single-masted sailing ship with a mainsail and a...
Mandeville, McLaren.
Schooner.
No, it's a sloop. Scandinavian country.
East Jefferson Richards.
Sweden.
Correct. English satirist born in Ireland who wrote Gulliver's Travels.
Mandeville, McLaren.
Swift.
That's right. Site of famous ship locks in northern Michigan. Sault Ste. Marie. Mid-eastern country with capital at Damascus.
East Jefferson Lewis.
Syria.
That's right. Where gold was discovered in California, leading to the...
Mandeville, Caruntos.
Sutter's.
Continue.
Sutter's Mill.
That's right. Alpine country in Europe.
Mandeville, Langenhenning.
Switzerland.
That's correct. The University of the South is...
East Jefferson Richards.
Swanee.
That's right. And there's the buzzer that ends our first half of play. Quite a few points scored in this particular round, but we've got another half to go, and many things could happen. We'll be back in just a moment, and we'll be talking to the individuals on both teams about their future plan.
The first doctor I went to said, well,
We'll resume play in just a few moments, but right now we'd like you to meet the contestants on today's 2 teams, East Jefferson and, of course, Mandeville High School. Ravi, as you know, in the second round, we ask about your future plans, academically and otherwise. So the floor is yours. What do you plan to do?
Plan to go to either Tulane or UNO and major in computer science.
Well, that sounds like an interesting career. How about you, Carrie?
I plan to go to Florida College and possibly major in English or journalism. And I'd like to take this time to tell Ms. LeBourgeois to get well, and we'll hope her back at Monday.
Well, I want to join you in that. She's been a great supporter of this program. We know that. And, of course, your assistant principal is here filling in, and that's pretty good when you get the executives down here, huh? Charles, how about you? What do you plan to do?
Hopefully I'll be attending the United States Military Academy and majoring in computer science, but if not, I'll be at Georgia Tech.
Well, you know, you got a pretty good alternate there. No doubt about it. James?
I haven't really decided yet, but I'm probably going to Auburn and pre-dentistry.
Very good. Sometimes known as Alabama Polytechnic Institute. But I can't say all of that. Good luck to all of you. East Jefferson, it's good to have you back. This school, incidentally, was a finalist one year, went into the championship game, played a very good game. Mandeville, how about you guys? Jerome?
I plan to attend LSU, and I don't know what my major will be.
Are you a senior yet, Jerome?
Yeah.
You are. You're just leaving your options open, I guess, as they say. Russell?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be going to LSU, and I probably will take a double major in business administration and computer science.
Very interesting. Kevin?
Well, I'd like to attend the United States Air Force Academy, and probably, if not, I'd like to go to some college and major in aeronautical engineering.
Aeronautical, well, you're into aerospace, right?
Yes, sir.
Which is such a big thing with an expanding frontier, obviously. Sheila, what about you?
Oh, well, I plan to study biochemistry, and I'll probably be going to LSU next year.
Very good. Well, look, I want to wish all of you a lot of luck, and it's delightful to have you playing the game with us once again. Annabelle? Here we go. And we're about to begin our second half of play right now. Lagniappe is 20 points. We have a visual face-off coming up here. East Jefferson's leading 140 to 95, but that lead could disappear rather rapidly if things take a certain course. So let's go. Look at the monitors here in front of you, if you will. We're going to show you a slide, a picture of a rather interesting gentleman. Showtime New Orleans New Year's Eve featured this famous musician at Basin Street South. For 10 points, can you name him?
Mandeville, McLaren.
Al Hurt.
That's the man, Al Hurt. Jumbo Al. He picked up 10 points in Mandeville. I don't know how significant it is, but you just broke 100, and you narrowed that gap to 35 points. You got a chance to pick up 20 more. This will be in 5 parts, and I'll take that back, a chance to pick up 25 more. 5 points for each question correctly answered. Behind the president stands the vice president, obviously. For 5 points each, which president did each of these men serve as vice president? Calvin Coolidge. He was the vice president. Under whom did he serve?
Harding.
Correct for 5. For 5 more. Hubert Humphrey served under.
Johnson.
Correct. Theodore Roosevelt served under.
Wilson.
No, a little before that. William McKinley. Martin Van Buren. He was vice president under Andrew Jackson. And finally, Hannibal Hamlin.
Abraham Lincoln.
That is correct. And I believe you picked up 3. That's 15 more points for Mandeville High. All right, the gap has narrowed. East Jefferson 140, Mandeville 120. Here's a face-off. We're going for a lagniappe of 30 teams. The title of a novel by Arnold Bennett sounds like the notion, for example, that chicken soup can cure the common cold. For 10 points, name that novel. The title, in reference to certain nostrums or panaceas that don't have a basis in scientific fact, an old wives' tale, or the old wives' tale. We backed into that rather indirectly. Here's a face-off going for a lagniappe of 30. Thousands of workers stayed away from work last week in this particular country's worst industrial chaos.
Richards.
Poland.
Poland was the country for 10 points. You have a lagniappe of 30 points. New York, Newburgh, and Albany are all on the Hudson River for 10 points each. Question, or questions, are these. On what river would you find the following cities? First, Ulm, Vienna, Budapest, and Belgrade. On what river?
Danube.
That's right. Great Falls, Bismarck, Pierre, Omaha, and Kansas City.
Missouri.
That's right, too. Finally, Ogdensburg, Montreal, and Quebec.
St. Lawrence.
You got them all. 30 points. Here's another face-off going for a lagniappe at 20 points. For 10 points, tell me, what might new dealers well have described as the 9 old men? The 6 members.
East Jefferson Lewis.
The Supreme Court.
That's right, the Supreme Court. 6 members were over 70 years of age at that time during Roosevelt's administration, and they were quite frequently referred to as the 9 old men. All right, here's a lagniappe at 20. I'm going to give you one member of a famous pair, and for 5 points apiece, you tell me the other member of this famous pair. First, Carol Lombard and...
Clark Gable.
Correct. Dante and...
Beatrice.
Correct. Orpheus and... We won't fault you in pronunciation here, believe me.
Thisbe?
No, it's Eurydice, E-U-R-Y-D-I-C-E. And finally, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. You have 2, and that's 10 more points. East Jefferson. Another face-off going for a visual lagniappe of 30 points coming up. William Faulkner created his own mythical county named, ready for this, Yoknapatawpha. For 10 points, name the 20th century American writer who created the imaginary medieval land of Powictesme in such novels as Jurgen, or Jurgen, J-U-R-G-E-N. Anyone by chance know the name of this?
East Jefferson Sharma.
Kipling?
No. Mandeville? Anyone want to take the shot?
Langenheading.
Carroll.
No, he's not too well known in literature, although he has great eminence. James Branch Cabell was his name. We have another face-off. I'll make it easy by telling you that the answer comes out even. For 10 points, what is the square root of 361? Pardon me, it does not come out even. It comes out.
Not an even number, but it's a
Yeah.
perfect square.
Yeah, it's a perfect square. It is not an even number. Sorry, I didn't give you enough
East
definition.
Jefferson Sharma.
29?
No. Mandeville, can you take it? One of those computation questions does not come too easily.
Mandeville McLaren.
17.
Oh, no, it's 19. 19 is the square root of 361. We have another face-off. Shareholders of this American League baseball team voted unanimously last week to sell the club to Jerry Reinsdorf and Eddie Einhorn for $20 million. For 10 points, name the baseball team.
East Jefferson Richards.
White Sox?
That's right, Chicago White Sox. Here's a visual lagniappe. It consists of 3 clues. If you name the famous composer, after 1 clue, you'll receive 30 points. Well, I said that because it says visual lagniappe up here, but we don't have a picture to go with it, so you just have to follow the verbal. If you can name this famous composer after 1 clue, you'll receive 30 points. If it takes 2 clues, you'll receive 20 points. And if it takes all 3 clues, you receive 10. Okay, number 1. Non-visually. Look, no, don't look at the monitors in front of you. That's what it says here. The composer whose picture you see, or would see, was born in France of Swiss Basque ancestry in 1875 and died of a brain tumor in 1937. Incidentally, barely 5'3", he was known for his elegant dress. Composer. Anyone?
Chopin?
No. We'll give you a second clue now for 20 points. Although he never married and rarely kept company with women, he accepted a commission from ballerina Ida Rubinstein, and in 1928, the composition he wrote for her was wildly cheered at its debut in Paris. I'll give you any better idea of who this might be, this famous composer. Okay, one more for 10. He considered his most popular work only a minor work, and probably would not have been surprised that an excerpt of this composition was used on the soundtrack of a motion picture, 10. Who was he? You may know the title, but do you know the name of the man who composed it? It was Maurice Ravel, and of course it was the Bolero we were talking about as a composition. Okay, here's another face-off. We're going for a lagniappe at 20. Many people, even if they're not superstitious, are somewhat apprehensive about Friday the 13th. For my part, I'm apprehensive about pronouncing this word, but I'll give it a try. Listen. For the people who suffer from triskaidekaphobia, the day is much more traumatic. For 10 points, what is triskaidekaphobia?
Mandeville Carunzas.
Fear of the number 13?
That's it. It is. Fear of the number 13. Here's a lagniappe at 20. I'll give you the names of paintings by famous artists, and for 5 points apiece, you give me the name of the artist who painted them. First, The Last Supper, The Virgin on the Rocks, and La Gioconda.
Van Gogh.
No, this was Da Vinci, Leonardo. Secondly, Sunflowers, The Starry Night of the Potato Eaters.
That's Van Gogh.
That is Van Gogh, right. The Polish writer, The Return of the Prodigal Son, and Aristotle Contemplating the Bust of Homer. The painter was very famous, Rembrandt. And finally, Night Fishing at Antibes, Gertrude Stein, that was the title, Mandolin and Guitar, and Two Acrobats with a Dog. Take a shot. Anyone? It was Pablo Picasso. You picked up 5 more points. Mandeville. We go into another face-off, leading up to a lagniappe at 25. It was first imagined in the 17th century when Francis Bacon observed that the contours of the Earth's continents would fit together like pieces in a puzzle to form a single continent. The idea was dismissed, but today, discovery of similar rocks and fossils along the same latitudinal lines, but on different continents, supports the theory.
East Jefferson Richards.
Supercontinent theory.
No.
It's true, it makes a supercontinent.
Can you expand a little bit on this? Just a little bit.
All the continents were together and then broke apart.
And drifted.
Drifted.
Yes, I think so. The judge is a wise judge. You know what you're talking about. If you don't give us the exact phraseology, we're not going to fault you. You've got 10 points. All right. Continental drift would have been the short form of it, but you got it? You got a chance to pick up 25 more. Franklin Delano Roosevelt created a number of federal agencies during his administration that were known as the alphabet agencies because they were usually referred to by their initials, and there were plenty of them. For 5 points each, tell me the full name of the following agencies created during the Roosevelt administration. Okay, number 1 is the CCC. Have to be exact here, of course, because each of those initials stands for a specific word. The CCC was what? Ask for an answer, Captain. Civilian Conservation Corps. PWA. PWA. During the NRA?
Power and Works Administration.
No, it's Public Works Administration. NRA. The NRA. And it's not the National Rifle Association.
National Roads Administration.
This is National Recovery Administration. Number 4, TVA.
Tennessee Valley Authority.
That's it. And finally, AAA. Remember the dates. This is in the 30s. There have been a lot of agencies, not necessarily in government, that had double or triple A's, but what was the AAA originally? It was the Agricultural Adjustment Agency. You picked up 5 points on a tough testing question. We have another face-off. We're going for a lagniappe at 30. Hawaii, the 50th state to join the Union, is made up of a chain of islands. Now, for 10 points, within plus or minus 10, tell me how many islands is in the chain of islands that we call Hawaii. This is a toughie.
Mandeville McLaren.
7.
No. East Jefferson.
East Jefferson Sherman.
20.
No. This boggled my mind when I saw it, but it is actually fact. Now, an island can be like 10 feet across. I'm not sure there's one that small. There are 132 islands in Hawaii. I think that probably would amaze some people. It did me. Here's a face-off. We're going for a lanyap at 30 points. An American inventor noticed that an electric current passes from a filament in an electric filament lamp to a metallic conductor introduced into a glass envelope. This effect formed the basis of a thermionic valve, the valve of J.A. Fleming. For 10 points, what is the name given to this effect?
East Jefferson Lewis.
Edison effect?
That's the Edison effect. He was the inventor that noticed it and then capitalized upon it. Here is a lanyap of 30 points. The Red Sea is unique geologically and biologically. It seems to be a new ocean in the first stages of formation, and it contains the northernmost coral reefs in the world. For 5 points apiece, name the countries that border on the Red Sea. I have a possible total of 30 points if you get all 6. That's what there are. 6 well, it's like time has run out on us. I'll just rapidly run through them. Those countries are Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, Yemen, and Somalia. Well, the buzzer is sounded. We've officially ended the game. Unofficially, well, we'll give you the official score in just a few moments. So stay tuned, please. We'll be right back to announce the team that advances.
Masterpiece Theater presents Danger UXB. This week, Brian and Susan discover a growing attraction.
Yes. So hush-hush, you can hardly hear it ticking. Like our marriage.
Don't miss Danger UXB this week on Masterpiece Theater.
See it Sunday evening at 9 on Channel 12.
As you see on the screen, the final score is East Jefferson 235, Mandeville High School 135. The winner, East Jefferson High School, advances to the round of 16. Congratulations, East Jefferson. A very interesting game, I'll sure you agree. Mandeville, I think 3 of you are graduating, so we won't have the pleasure of having you back, but Mr. Is it Carensis? You're going to be back next year? Nucleus of a powerhouse. Mandeville High, great to have you. We'll see you next year. In the meantime, East Jefferson will be back this year, and they will meet the Hahnville High School team. Yeah, I got it right. East Jeff versus Hahnville High. And these are 2 teams with a great success record. It ought to be a very interesting show next week in round 3, or the next time they meet in April. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
The questions on Varsity Quiz Ball are prepared and authenticated by the WIS editorial research staff and known only in advance to the quizmaster, producer, judge, and researcher. All 64 schools participating in our year-long tournament are matched by blind draw. Selections of team members and methods of preparation are the sole responsibility of the schools and their coaches. The preceding program was made possible by a grant